Welcome to our weekly Forex market analysis call, and this is in preparation for trading for the week of April 23rd to 27th, 2018. Just a quick disclaimer before we get started. This is for educational purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful when you are trading, and it is always advisable to not trade with the money that you cannot afford to lose. So let's dive into it. We'll start off by taking a look at our Forex Factory calendar here. All right, so what's going on here? Coming up, we have PMI numbers out of the Eurozone on Monday. PMI numbers, these are leading indicators for retail sales, and that leads into GDP. So these numbers are important, so very important to pay attention to these. On Monday, we also have Bank of Canada Governor Poloz speaking. So just a quick note about Bank of Canada. Last week, we have Bank of Canada monetary policy statement, and we had Governor Poloz speaking. Now, with Bank of Canada has gone from being very bullish. So Bank of Canada was raising rates, and then they went into neutral stance. So they were not going to raise any more rates. And then finally, now they seem to be turning bearish. So what Bank of Canada essentially did last week was, first, they kept the interest rates the same. So no change there. We were not expecting a change in that. But some of the comments that they made caused the Canadian dollar to drop. That's why we saw dollar CAD go up. Now, what they were talking about there was concerns around NAFTA. So right now, we have no agreement, even in principle, around the NAFTA. And that's one of the big concerns for Canada, because U.S. is the biggest trading partner with Canada just because of the proximity, and same thing with Mexico. But from Canada's Canadian perspective, U.S. being the closest neighbor, U.S. is a strong partner for Canada, and that causes a lot of concern for Bank of Canada if NAFTA is not signed, and if they cannot reach an agreement, because then Canada would have to look for other markets to ship their products, and that will be problematic. Anyways, that would have a negative impact on the economy. So Bank of Canada was concerned about the economy or the impact of NAFTA on the economy, and also they are overall concerned about just overall trade wars and tariffs and things like that. So that was the biggest takeaway from the monetary policy stuff that happened last week. And now Bank of Canada Governor Poloz is speaking again. It can have market moving impact, although we have already heard Bank of Canada stance last week. But again, if you're trading Canadian dollar, I would pay attention to this speech. But that's where Bank of Canada currently is. They've gone from bullish to neutral to slightly bearish now. So they're not completely bearish. The economy has still grown, but they have expressed concerns about growth of the economy, which are negative for Canadian dollar. So dollar CAD has gone up. All right, and then we have CPI for Australia here. CPI, again, very important number. We saw negative CPI come out for British pound yesterday, and as a result of that, we saw pound drop. So CPI numbers, again, one of the main numbers that central banks will look at. So these numbers are very important. Tuesday, we have consumer confidence number for the U.S. That will be important. This one here, German IFO business climate number, will be important for Euro here. And then going further on Wednesday, we again have Governor Poloz speaking. But again, the further it gets from the main event, the less impact it will have. And hopefully his speech would have similar components. So the second one that's on Monday will not have as much impact, and Wednesday will be a little bit less impact than that. Big event for this week is the Ecb Press Conference. So we heard Bank of Canada last week. We have heard Reserve Bank of Australia, and now we have Ecb Press Conference. So they're not expected to change the bid rate here, the interest rate. However, again, this will have a big impact, what they have to say. So press conference is where the reporters will get to ask questions, and as a result of that, the answers that are given will have an impact. So there's a bit of a time lag between the interest rate and the press conference. So both of these will have an impact. So again, what we are really looking for here is they're not looking to change interest rate or big change in monetary policy at this point. ECB is keeping things relatively stable. They have been cutting back on their asset purchases, so they're not buying as much securities, but they're still reinvesting the ones that mature back in. So at this point, really, what are we expecting? We're looking to see what ECB has to say in regards to monetary policy. Are they going to hold it the way it is and stay neutral, or are they looking to either, have make the monetary policy changes in whichever way, whether that's by cutting asset purchases further, because September is when they were looking to do that. So that's one of the things we're really looking for, basically comments out of them in terms of how they feel about the European economy. Are they looking to raise interest rates anytime soon? And are they going to change monetary policy? So if they say positive comments about the state of the economy, so just like Bank of Canada said negative comments about the state of economy, or they expressed concerns about the state of the economy, that was negative for Canadian dollars. Same thing with ECB as well. If they express concerns around trade wars, tariffs, geopolitical situation that we have currently, any of those things will be considered negative, and they will keep the central bank from changing the monetary policy till they see what the impact will be from those events. So we're looking for same type of thing from ECB, but their concerns will be similar, but their actions could be different, and that's what will have an impact here. So if they still say, oh, we are confident about the economy, then I'm expecting euro to go up. But if they say the same similar things to as Bank of Canada said, then that would be negative for euro. Okay, Bank of Japan. So Japanese yen, as we have seen, geopolitical concern, tariff concerns, things like that. Yen has been one of the currencies that has seen a lot of volatility as a result of that. So Bank of Japan is concerned about the currency strength, because anytime we see problems, either geopolitical concerns or anything else where the markets are impacted, so equity markets are impacted, investors will move their money from out of the equity markets and into safe haven assets, which being gold, Japanese yen, bonds, Swiss franc. All of those are safe haven assets where anytime there's risk aversion in the market, those things go up. Now, Bank of Japan doesn't want Japanese yen to go up because their exports will become more expensive and people may not buy as much. So Bank of Japan is definitely concerned about Japanese yen, and they have their monetary policy, they have negative rates, and that's why Japanese yen tends to be a carry trade currency. But with this, so right now they're not looking to change monetary policy. I think it was last week or the week prior where they talked about maintaining the current monetary policy for as long as they need to. So so basically what I'm expecting is them to talk their currency down, not really expecting a whole lot of changes. Again, it will be the comments that will make a difference. So if they say things like, we're going to continue on with the monetary policy, we're concerned about the overall world, the state of things in the world and different markets around the world. So they're going to hold the policy, and they may even do more monetary policy stimulus. All of those things will be negative for Japanese yen, and that could cause Japanese yen to drop, which means the currency pairs trading against Japanese yen will go up. So keep that in mind. And then on Friday, we do have Bank of Japan Press Conference, which will be released. The problem with Japanese yen is there's no actual time as to when it will be released. It will be sometimes either during the London session or even before that, because Japan, it will be in the Asian session. So sometime during that, there's no real time for that. So if you're trading it on Thursday, just be mindful of the impact from this And then we have press conference, which is usually scheduled after this. And so we don't know what time it is, but like I said, it will be sometimes in the London session. And then we also have SNB Chairman Jordan speaking here. Swiss National Bank is just like any other central bank. When they talk, we want to pay attention here. We also have preliminary GDP numbers for British pound here. And then, of course, for the US, so both of these will be important. Very important thing here, we have Bank of England Governor Carney speaking. So last week we saw British pound drop, and one of the reasons that kind of pushed it down further. So we saw it drop because we had negative numbers, and then it pulled back. And then Bank of England Governor Carney was giving an interview on BBC, I think it was not listed on Forex Factory here. He mentioned how Bank of England is thinking about raising rates, but sometime in the next 2 years. So he could not commit to when the interest rate hike will come, because the market, a lot of the market participants were speculating that they will do an interest rate hike as early as May, so next month. But him saying that it will be sometime in the next 2 years caused the British pound to drop. So all of a sudden we saw everything. We saw pound dollar, pound yen, all of the different pound currencies drop. Pound CAD dropped a lot. Different pound currencies dropped as a result of that. So these comments from the central bankers are very, very important. It's worth paying attention to, because we saw that big drop in British pound just last week based on what Governor Carney said, just in an interview, not even in a prepared speech. So just be mindful of that. So I do recommend making sure your audio feed is on at all times so we can take a look at those things. All right, so let's go on to the charts here. We'll start off by taking a look at the euro dollar here. So let me get rid of some of these. Okay, so as we can see with the euro, it's been trading in this range for weeks now. So we hasn't done much. This is the inside range that it's been trading in, and then that's the outside range it's been trading in. Right now, as we can see, it's just gone back and forth, hasn't really done anything really in weeks. So currently, it looks like a bearish pin bar, so I would expect the price to drop into 122.20 level, back into the bottom of this pin, and then second target would be 1.2150. But it is very range bound. It's not really doing much. It's just moving back and forth within this range. So if we take a look at the daily, we can see it's just going back and forth. It is building a bit of a pennant here. That means it is coiling. So at some point, it will break out one way or another. So it's squeezing tighter and tighter into this pennant. So once that happens, usually the breakout can be quite explosive in either direction. But at the moment, it is range bound. So I would expect price to go back towards this bottom of this trend line, either squeeze and then do a bit of a breakout in either direction. But for now, based on the bearish, I would look for price to drop into 122.20 and then 1.2150. Overall, the bias is neutral for euro dollar. Pound dollar here, this is the one where we had talked about a high here. So this was the resistance level that we saw previously, where price had dropped from, and as we can see, price came into that resistance level and dropped once again. So we had this trend line going up. It's closed right into this trend line. So based on this weekly candle close, a double top on a weekly chart, bearish candle close, bearish engulfing candle close here, I would expect price to drop further as a result of that. So in this case, my bias is to the downside for pound dollar here. So I would be looking for price to test the 14100 level and then drop again. So bias is to the downside for pound dollar. And in terms of the target The first target here would be the bottom of this pin. So so let's say, where are we? So the first one would be 1.3930-ish level, the bottom of this pin. So about maybe go slightly higher into 1.3950. And then I'm looking for, once price breaks that level, looking for it to come back into the bottom of this essentially. So 1.3700. So first would be 1.3950 and then 1.3700 to the downside. So my bias for this is bearish. I do like the bearish, double top here. So I'm looking for a pullback and then a drop. So pullback could go higher into 1.4150 even. But I am looking for a push, like price to pull back and then do another drop. So overall bias is to the downside. Aussie dollar, this one dropped a fair bit. Again, we were into resistance. So this is the resistance we were in. And price has dropped, was not able to go above that. Now we have a bearish engulfing here as well. So railroad tracks reversal. We are into support though, so we do need to see the price break this level. The bearish candle looks good. So again, we are into supports. We need to see price go on the other side of it, because for the last 4 weeks, it wasn't able to do that. But the candles that were coming into the support were not very strong. So this is the first strong candle we have had. So just like this bullish candle, this is a strong candle because prior to that, 4 times price wasn't able to break. And then we got this bullish engulfing candle and price went higher. Same thing here. We had weak candles going into support, price pushed higher, and now we have a big strong candle to the downside. So I'm looking for price to drop further. 0.7500 will be the target to the downside. So looking, Aussie dollar is looking bearish. New Zealand dollar here as well. This is looking bearish. That's a very strong bearish close. But again, we are into support. However, this is the first strong bearish candle we have seen. But since it is such a big candle, we could see price pull back before it drops here. It is into support. So I'm looking for price to push up and then drop. I want to see a break of 7,200, so 0.7200. My target to the downside would be 0.7050 level, back into this previous support and resistance area right over here. That is a good level for New Zealand dollar. So bias is to the downside, but I am expecting price to push up and then drop from there. So anytime there are these big moves to the downside, there's usually, or any side, there's usually a pullback before the price continues. So just bear that in mind. Dollar CAD, big move to the upside here. We have a bullish candle close. So I'm looking for price to move further up here. So this is what we are looking at. Bullish candle close are railroad reversals here. Basically, railroad reversal setup is where price goes in one direction and we have a same size candle in the opposite direction. And it's a reversal pattern. So here we were into support, bullish candle here, looking for price to go back up into this previous support and resistance area at 129.30-ish level. So bias is to the upside for dollar CAD. Euro pound here, euro pound also bullish candle close. We have seen, this is a lot of this is as a result of British pound dropping. Euro's kind of held its own, hasn't really done much. So with this one, we are into resistance here. And overall, the trend has been to the downside. It was just going sideways here. So with this one, we do need to see price close on the other side. Otherwise, price could just be in this range. So right now, it's into the bottom. I'm looking for price to go up higher into 0.8950 level here. But again, I would like to see the price close on the other side. So the move that I would be looking for would be something like this, pullback, and then a further move to the upside. So 89.50 will be the target higher up here. But if price does not go close on the other side or hold on the other side of 87.80 level, then it could just turn around and come back into the bottom. So with this one, because it's into resistance, we have to watch what price does at 87.80 level, which is the current price level. All right, so let's take a look at Pound CAD. Pound CAD, they're both weak currencies. Right now, it is into support. Candles are not terribly strong. So with this one, what we could see is price does this, pulls back, and it could go back up again. So this looks more like a pullback. We are into support. However, because they're both weak currencies, probably not the best one to trade at this point till we get a better indication of where the price wants to go or which one turns out to be the stronger one between the two here. So for now, not really, we'll have to see how price reacts here. So the bias is neutral for this, and overall bias is to the upside. So we could just see a rejection and price could move up. So what price does at this 1.7800 level will be important. If it closes below that and holds below, then I'm looking for price to drop to 1.7350. But if it holds above this level, then I'm looking for price to go back and test the high here, which is 1.8420. So again, we are at an important level where we need to see what the market shows us. And based on what the market gives us, we have two scenarios. Overall bias is to the upside though, and that's something we have to keep in mind, which means there are higher chances of price going pushing to the upside than there are for the price pushing down. So just bear that in mind. EuroCAD is looking bullish. We have seen price push up. So again, we have railroad reversals here. So I'm looking for price to go and test the high at 157.50. And then if it breaks above, then looking for 1.5920. But again, we'll have to see because this one has been dropping. So the overall trend is to the downside. So if this is going to reverse here, then we have to see a follow through with this one. So again, it could just be a pullback, and that's why we have to be mindful. So the decision will be, or the deciding level will be 1.5750, and then we'll have to see the two scenarios that I'm looking at here. Could be a double top like this, and price gets stuck at 1.5750 level, or price breaks through this level, pulls back, and then continues further. So it will depend on which side of 157.50 that price decides to hold, and that will be the deciding factor. Based on weekly candle close, the bias is upwards and looking for price to move into these levels. Let's go to Swiss. Euro Swiss, very, very bullish close here. Price has pushed higher, and now we are into the top of this big inefficient move that price had made way back in 2015, and we are all the way back. This entire move has been retraced, so we could see some resistance into this level because this is an important level. And right now, price is pushing into it. So weekly candle closes very bullish. But because we are into that important level all the way up, so I'm looking for price to push up higher. But again, it could get stuck at 120.20 and turn from there because it is an important level. But based on the weekly candle close here, though, bias is bullish, and the next level will be 1.2100. Pound yen, nice bearish engulfing candle close, and that is looking bearish. Okay, so for this one, we reached this support and resistance area. Now we have a bearish pin bar. So I'm looking for price to drop. The first target here would be the bottom of this candle, which is our next support and resistance area at 1.3500. Second target would be the base of the next candle right into here, which is 1.33 130-ish level. So 1.3500 and 133, let's say 50 level. So those will be the two targets to the downside, but pound Swiss franc right now is looking bearish. Dollar Swiss franc here, this has been pushing up. We are all the way into this previous support and resistance area. Price was able to push through this resistance. Very big bullish candle close. So I will look for price to continue further. And the target is 0.9850. So this looks bullish right now. Pound yen, we saw a drop in pound yen as well as a result of those comments from Bank of England Governor Carney and the poor data. It was mostly because of the comments more so than the poor data. But poor data did have an impact earlier in the week, which caused British pound to start dropping. So with this one, that's a bearish reversal candle. We are into support here though, but this looks bearish. So I would look for a follow through to the downside. So first target would be 147.20 and second target would be 145. So we got quite a few pips there. So we'll go, I'll put it over here. 147.00 will be the target to the downside. So pound yen is looking bearish. Euro yen here, it seems to be rejecting the high here. Not quite as bearish as pound yen, but it is struggling, which means we could see it drop further. And the target would be 131.00. And then if it continues on, then 127.20 back into the bottom here. But this is an important level. And if euro pound keeps going up, this may not drop as much because the selling in pound could cause the buying in euro. And as a result of that, it could struggle. So this one is bearish, looking bearish, but slightly bearish. So target here would be 131.00 because it's not as strong a setup as pound yen. Dollar yen here, this one hasn't really done much. This one looks like euro yen. See how price had gone into resistance here and then dropped a little bit. That's what I'm expecting here. Price has gone into resistance, dropped a little bit, but it's still holding the high. So it is into the resistance here. And again, the decision here will come as to what price does at 107.80 level. And right now, price is just stuck here in this level. So based on the candle close here, it still is bullish. There's still bullishness in this move here. It is getting compressed, which means the candles are getting smaller. So it's not as strong a move as it was before. So we could see something similar where price starts to turn around. So especially, well, depending on the Bank of Japan monetary policy as well, that will have an impact on this. But right now, so this is bullish, but with the momentum seems to be fading from this. So we'll leave it at that. The next level higher would be 108.20. And if it breaks through this level, 107.80, we're looking at 108.20 and then further 110.40 will be the next level up, but we have some resistance for it to get through before it starts to continue up. So I would be careful with this one. And you, Nat, you were asking about Euro Aussie. Where is my Euro Aussie? Euro Aussie is right here. Euro Aussie is looking bullish. Price came into this support resistance area, pushed up, gone higher. We are into the top of this range from the last little while here. So price could continue higher here. 1.6080 will be the first target. And if it breaks through that target, then I'm looking for 1.6200, which is into the highs here. So right now, overall, the bias is still to the upside. As we can see, we have a trend line upward here, and then looking for price to go into 160.80 and then 16200. Those will be the two target levels to the upside there. Let's take a look at oil and gold here. Gold, based on daily, is looking bearish. On weekly, it's looking bearish. It hasn't been able to break above this previous high, and I'm looking for price to drop here into 1326.72 level, which is the base of this pin. And then if it breaks through that level, it could come down into 1304.25 back into the bottom here, but it is still range bound. We have seen rejection of the high, so looking for it to drop a bit into 1326, and then here we'll have to see if it breaks through, then it could continue lower. Otherwise, it could push up into the high. But for now, it seems to be dropping. Oil here. Oil, we have neutral to bullish, or bullish to neutral, I should say. Price has held above this support level, but it has closed right in the middle. We have pins on both sides. So it appears we don't have a clear indication of what the price wants to do at this point. So we'll have to see how it reacts. So it's holding above this previous high. So based on the daily, here we could see the price go up higher. If it doesn't break below this 67.50 level, then we could see price move up higher. Overall, we are seeing bullishness here still. So with this one, the bias is neutral to bullish. So we could see price go above, or we could see it come back to the bottom of that range as well. All right, so that's all I have. If you guys have, if anybody has any questions, I could answer that, or we'll just call it a wrap for now. So what challenge is that? Is that the Turning Pro challenge? If that's the one, I am still looking at it. Yes, so we're still running the Turning Pro challenge. All right. So, also I've started doing back testing. So this strategy or the way I analyze the candles, this is the one that I'm back testing, but on a daily time frame. So if you guys want to join me, you can you can join my Facebook group, and you can follow me along there. It's free Facebook group. So it is. It's called, I think, Facebook Trading with Venus group here. So you can just do a search of Trading with Venus, or you can go to facebook.com/groups and Trading with Venus, and you will find this Facebook group that I have. So feel free to join me. I do daily live calls every day here at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, and I test the strategy that I use, basically how I analyze the weekly and daily candles, and that's the one that I will be using. So if you want to join, you can see what my strategy is, how I'm back testing it. You can join me on the Facebook group here. And Shefford, you've been following my analysis for the last 2 weeks and getting good results. I'm very happy to hear that. Thank you for sharing that. You always do these one-sided things. It's nice to hear that, some feedback about it, that you're getting good results. So appreciate you sharing that. Thank you. All right, so it looks like that's all we have. You guys have a wonderful trading week, and I will be back again next week with the analysis. And if you want to join the group, then I will see you on Monday for the back testing session. If not, I'll see you next week. Have a wonderful weekend. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.